Being able to get the most important things accomplished each day is a skill. And today's guest on the 25th Hour podcast is Elin Barton. She is a serial entrepreneur and is dedicated to helping her clients grow and succeed. When you listen in, here's what you can expect. Elin shares with us her story behind the two businesses she currently owns and her new book, Ready, Set, Grit. And she shares a couple nuggets from each of the three sections, Ready, Set, and Grit. And then we close the episode out talking about her productivity bottleneck and how she likes to spend her 25th hour. If you think that one of the things that may be holding you back in getting everything accomplished each day is the fact that you're not reviewing your calendar and your to-do list often enough, you will definitely want to listen into this. That's what Elin thought hers was. And we find out that it's not really that at all. So settle back, listen in, and enjoy listening to Elin. She's an amazing woman. Welcome, Elin. I am super excited that you're here today, and I cannot wait to hear about the new book you have coming out. So before we go there, let's just talk about your business. Tell me all about your business, or your businesses, actually, to be much more specific. Tell me about your businesses.
Okay, I would love to, Lisa. I call myself now a serial entrepreneur because I think that's probably pretty accurate. And right now I'm running two active businesses, and I am the common denominator between the two. It took me a while to figure that out. I struggled a little bit with it, saying, well, how are these two businesses related? But in fact, it's me. And what I really care about is helping other businesses grow and reach higher levels of success. So I do that on the one hand with my company, White Knight Productions. White Knight Productions specializes in video production and marketing. We work with clients all over the country, helping them tell their stories and really make an impact with the messages that they're putting out in the world, and therefore help them grow their businesses. On the other side, I have a business called Ready, Set, Grit. And within that brand, I have an online platform called the Boardroom, where entrepreneurs gather and support one another. We have weekly calls, some of which are led by speakers who come in and talk about important topics. And recently, we've started doing something called the Inner Circle, where the entrepreneurs are gathering for these really robust and exciting discussions about topics that may or may not be directly traditionally related to business. So this week we're talking about vulnerability and authenticity, for example. That's a little different than looking at your P&L or your balance sheets, but it's still important and it's still related to life and business. So I do that on that side. I do work with people one-on-one, who, especially those who are looking to grow their businesses at a fast rate and find that they're struggling to do so because they get sucked into working in their business and they're not able to step away and work on their business. So I really enjoy that as well. And like I said, it's all about helping others grow and become more successful.
I love that you were able to figure out that common denominator between the two. You know, how do those two, because from the outset, it might not look like a video production business and a book about things that are not video production or the Boardroom or the Inner Circle, like any of those things. It may not look like they fit together other than they're both passions of yours. But putting it under that umbrella of it helps grow the business. I love that. That is brilliant, Elin.
Well, I have to say, I needed outside help to get there. Sometimes you get so involved in your own work, as was the case with me, that it's hard to see the big picture sometimes. And I was struggling with that. I was like, well, I really love doing this and this, and I know they're related, but I can't see it. So it was through hiring an outside brand consultant that I really got clear on that. And it made sense. Like, I knew it would make sense, but I couldn't quite articulate it until she came in from the outside and said, you know what, this is what's going on. And then I was like, oh yes, absolutely. So it's interesting because we go in, we, especially as White Knight, go in and help other companies tell their stories, and we're able to encompass their brand and their message. But when you're in it, it can be hard to articulate. It can be hard to see everything clearly.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of those pieces when you were talking about working in the business, working on the business, like being able to step back and say, okay, here's the value I bring to the business. Here's the really great things about me. And I need help here, and I need help here, and I need help here. Bring those people in. Absolutely. Yes. Tell me a little bit more about the inner circle. Like, where did the idea for the inner circle come from?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, the inner circle is part of this boardroom community. We do meetings every Friday, virtual meetings. And for the past 4 years or so, it's been a speaker. I've just been hosting speakers. You've spoken to the boardroom, and we've had so many topics. Almost every topic I can think of related to business has probably been covered in one way or another in the past 4 years. And really like fabulous. Like we're all getting educated. We're learning current information from people who are really in it, in the trenches, other business owners that have expertise in these areas. Fabulous. The inner circle came about because I wanted to freshen things up. It's been 4 years. It's been fabulous, but I wanted to do something different. And I really wanted to allow my own voice to be heard. Now I have the book, and now I'm really stepping forward in owning that space. But I also wanted it to be a place within the inner circle where the members of the boardroom have their voices heard too. And the discussion, like it's almost like a think tank, we're really working together and talking about these topics in a way that maybe we're uncovering new ideas, or maybe we're exploring how we feel about something rather than being taught something. It's a very different experience, and I believe both are valuable.
It's like you're getting cutting edge from experts in their field on one hand, and then you're creating cutting edge from experts in the boardroom on the other hand.
And it's all, the whole boardroom concept is, it's peer-led. It's not, most of the time, I suppose there are a couple exceptions to this, but most of the time we're not inviting an academic in to talk about the theory of something, which is also valuable, but that's not really what this community is about. It's about people that are entrepreneurs. They're in the trenches. They're running businesses. They know what it's like to, they know what it's like to have that 3 a.m. moment where they wake up and they're worried about payroll, or they're worried about their balance sheet, or they're worried about something. And they are the ones, the buck stops with them. They're the entrepreneurs. They have to figure it out. We have that common denominator in all the boardroom members. And there's something about that, learning from people that are in it with you, but also have their own expertise, that's very different than, learning from an expert that may have more theoretical knowledge.
Right. Absolutely. I'm a big believer, as you know, in take something that you can apply and apply it right away.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the book. Tell me more about the book.
Absolutely. Well, I'll show you. I have one copy of the book because it releases on Monday, the 20th.
Okay.
So currently I just have my proof copy. It's right here.
Oh my God, it looks so good. Congrats.
Thank you. It's my first book, so I just carry it around now from my office to my house, which is ridiculous.
No, it's not. It's amazing. Keep carrying it around.
I love the book. So it's called Ready, Set, Grit: 3 Steps to Success in Life, Business, and the Pursuit of Happiness. And the Ready, Set, and Grit are also the names of the 3 sections of the book. So, and it's all designed to help the readers grow, whether they're growing a business or whether they're stepping into their own, a place where their own gifts can be given to the world in a very special and meaningful way. So, it doesn't have to be a business, was my premise behind the book. But if you're playing small, if you have a hankering to do something and you're not doing it, my message in the book is basically life is short. So let's put some action steps in place so you can start living your best life, start living your truth, start giving your gifts to the world in a way that either brings you fulfillment and profit in a business, or maybe it just brings you fulfillment and joy in a different way. Maybe your passion is painting or art or volunteering or, something. And for whatever reason, maybe you never got around to doing that thing. The book, I hope, will encourage people to have that realization that now is a great time to start working on making that thing that's in your heart actually happen.
So share something from like the ready section, that what can people expect when they're in that ready section in the book, without giving the whole thing away. Don't give the whole thing away, but okay, just a little bit about what, if I'm reading ready, what am I getting?
Yeah, so ready is the theme of that section is mindset. And the idea is that many times we don't fulfill our potential. We don't do the things that we were, depending on your belief system, maybe put on this earth to do. We're not maybe giving our full self to the world in a way that's good for the world and good for us, because we have limiting beliefs or limiting decisions about what we deserve. We have limiting beliefs or decisions about what we're capable of. And we talk ourselves out of greatness frequently if you're not actively working on your mindset. So that section of the book starts out talking all about mindset, getting you in touch with your intuition, getting you more comfortable with being authentic and vulnerable. And there's also a chapter on money, because one of the audiences is, in fact, people that are looking to do something for profit, something aligned with their purpose, but also for profit. And there's a lot of mindset issues around this topic of money. People get in their own way all the time and underprice their services, or even, talk themselves out of earning more money. It sounds so strange, but it happens all the time. So that's a topic that fascinates me. And I have a whole chapter on that in the ready section.
In the ready section.
Yeah.
I love that you brought that piece up. Every morning I spend 15 minutes reading part of some sort of a money mindset book. And I have such a variety of some are very authentically real. Others are very theoretical, but it's a nice blend, and I try to go back and forth between them. My favorite, I think, are the ones where there's some swear words in them, and I feel like that's where I resonate the most. So what about the set part? What can we expect out of the set part?
Yeah, so the theme of the set section is to build your foundation. So it's to make sure you have the support system in place that will get you where you want to go. Because the whole thing is developing a system and a plan and actionable steps to take you from where you are to where you want to be. As we know, doing the same things over and over again that got you where you are not the actions that are going to get you where you want to be. You have to do something differently. So I also include exercises and action steps in all of the chapters. I feel like that's really important. In SET, we work on, we talk about your tribe, who are going to be the people that are going to support you. And they may not be the people you think are going to support you. In fact, sometimes those that are closest to us aren't the best support system, because they want to protect us and they want to maybe stop us from taking a risk. When you go and you want to grow and you want to do something different, you're also taking a risk that it might not work. You're putting yourself out there. And sometimes our family or our close friends, for whatever reason, there's many reasons that they may, try to talk you out of it. And that's not helpful. So you have to really intentionally surround yourselves with the right people. There is also a chapter in there about time. It's called Time Shifter. You'll like that chapter.
Yes.
It's not exactly what you would expect. It's being able to, it's somewhat about time as you would expect. At least I'm speaking to you, but it's also about being able to look at your past and let go of those old stories, let go of the worry over the future, and kind of just to get grounded in the present. That's part of the foundational work as well.
When you were talking about tribe, it reminded me of an exercise I did a couple of years ago about creating my board of directors. And it listed out all these categories. And I worked through it, and I had one person sitting in almost all the seats. And that was when I recognized, all right, we need to diversify just a little bit. And it helped me look at what areas. And to your point, like, my husband is exceptionally supportive, and I love my husband very much. He is not on my board of directors because he wants to protect me.
Right.
And which more often than not, I need the nudge to get out versus the protect from bad things happening. And so as you were saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, that I remember doing that, an exercise similar to what you're sharing.
Yeah.
And it was so eye-opening because I get to the end and I was like, okay, this one, and in my head, I was joking. It's like, what if this person moved? And then a year later, this person moved. Not that it matters. Like, hello, we have phones and Zoom. But I was like, look, she moved. I no longer have any local board of directors. And so I needed to work through that. All right. The grit.
The grit is probably my favorite.
Right?
Yeah. Well, the grit. So the grit is the part that I felt was missing. If you've ever seen the movie The Secret or read the book,
yes.
One of the things that really bothered me about that is that they didn't really talk about showing up and doing the work and doing it again and again.
Thank you.
Yeah. So obviously to me, that part is what is going to really bring you success. It's showing up again and again and again, even if it's in small ways, moving, inching, centimetering towards your goals. It doesn't have to be giant steps forward, but you have to keep moving. So that's what the grit section is about. It's about finding ways to just to know where you're going, to kind of like keep doing your best to move towards that, but to also let yourself release yourself from how you're going to get there. It's not important to know every single step of the way. It is important to keep your eye on the goal and then just keep like knocking on doors, trying to show up, trying to, something didn't work. Okay, cool. Try something different. Just keep moving forward. To me, that's the key to success. And there's a chapter in that section too that's called Live Like a Lottery Winner. And it was inspired by one of my neighbors who did not win the lottery. It was back when we lived in California. And she would always say, she'd be like, oh, when we win the lottery, we're going to move to Santa Cruz and have a house in Santa Cruz. And then one day she was like, you know what, we didn't win the lottery, but we're going to find a way, gosh darn it, to live in Santa Cruz. And so it's like just finding a way to have the experiences you want to have out of life, regardless of what your current resources are. If you're creative enough, there's usually a way to get the experience. Maybe you're craving life on the high seas and perhaps you can't afford a luxury yacht. But there's still some way, if you talk to enough people and network and explore this enough, you're going to find somebody that's going to invite you on their boat, or, somehow you're going to be able to get that experience. So that's what that chapter is about. It's just giving you a whole bunch of ideas and resources to, truly start leveling up your whole life, leveling up your business, leveling up your life, and having the experience that you were put on this earth to have.
Yes. Yes. What did you learn about yourself from writing this book?
Well, I learned that I could do it. And writing a book was always something that I wanted to do. I started writing this book after going through a lot of my own struggles with, I mentioned I have businesses, and there were challenges. There were some very difficult times, which I am happy to say that I found a way through those difficult times. But even as I was going through it, and I would wake up in the morning and I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to deal with this. But finding a way through it, eventually coming out the other side of that, I kept thinking, wow, there's got to be something, there's got to be some reason for this. There's got to be something here that maybe I can share or help someone else not have to go through this really hard stuff. So that's where the book started. And what I discovered was so much. In researching the book, I talked to many people that had kind of like figured it out on some level, and we had the commonality of having gone through the tough stuff. But then I'd always be like, well, what is the secret? How did you do that? And I'd pick up like nuggets here and there. So it's hard for me to articulate what I learned, except to say a lot. It's really fundamentally changed the way I approach my entire life.
I like that. I like that a lot. And at the end, we are going to share, all of you who are watching and listening, we are going to share how you can get the first chapter of Elin's book. So we'll do that at the end. Let's shift a little bit. So here's what I know about you, Elin. I know you're awesome. I know that your businesses take up a lot of your time. I know that you volunteer for NAVO, other places. You have a full life, family. I say a farm, and I know that it's not a farm, but like there's a lot of stuff on your farm. And you still balance it, you get it all done. And I also know that sometimes something can prevent you from getting everything that you want to get done in a day. And so that's where we're going to dig in next. We're going to dig into your productivity bottleneck, whatever it is that's happening right now, the things that you're like, I think I'm getting it all done. I have my list. I have everything set up. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't happen by the end of the day, the end of the week. So we have a previous relationship, which is awesome. And I'm coming into this trying to, with wide open eyes, looking for something. I'm trying not to have any preconceived notions is what I'm trying to say here. So I'm trying to come in completely authentic and open. So thank you for sharing what it's really like to be you with 2 companies and all these things. So here's your question. What is your biggest challenge getting everything done each day?
That's a great question, Lisa. And I should share that when you said we have a previous relationship, we worked together, you as my time management coach. And that relationship, that experience helped me a lot. My answer to this question would have been a lot different 4 or 5 months ago before we started working together. So, yet still, there are challenges, of course. And although I have challenges, I just want to say I've never been so supported in all of my life because of our work together. I've hired and delegated a lot of responsibilities to others. And I still keep thinking, like, how can I do that more? Where I'm still getting hung up is when I do not review my calendar properly and do not review my to-do list properly. For example, I just had one of my key people was on vacation. And so I was taking on a lot of her responsibilities. Well, she was gone. It was okay. I wanted to do that. And I seemed like I was the right person to do that for that week. So she just got back, and somehow I lost sight of the fact that we have an important RFP due tomorrow. So when I realized that just threw my husband's British, and he always says it, threw a spanner in the works. It just like, it messed me up because I knew about the RFP, but I kind of lost track of when it was due because I wasn't looking at Asana enough. And I just, I don't have it on my calendar or something. And so all of a sudden today, I'm having to find the time to do this in between all the other things I have scheduled today. So does that answer your question? Like
It does. So I'm going to
that's an example of something.
Right. No, it's a really perfect example. So
Yeah.
What you're saying is that not reviewing the calendar, not reviewing Asana, not reviewing your to-do list enough.
Right.
Or well enough for that phrase. So I'm going to dig a little bit because I think there may be something even underneath of that. When do you typically review the to-do list or review the calendar?
I usually review the calendar at the end of the day and the to-do list either at the end of the day or the beginning of the day. So I like to go through the list and I use Asana, so I have a list of what's going on, and then it will remind me, I have to do invoicing or I have to, do whatever. I don't usually pay attention to the emails I get from Asana. I just go into the app itself.
Yes, I'm there too.
But in my example, the other thing that happened is I unexpectedly booked a speaking engagement and didn't have the presentation ready. So that was another big thing that got thrown at me at the same time that my key person was away. So it like threw me off, and I stopped looking at the calendar as carefully, and I stopped looking at Asana as carefully.
Okay. When or at all do you take the to-do list and take the calendar and look at where the to-dos fit into the calendar? Like, does that make sense?
Oh, that would be a really great idea, Lisa.
Tell me more on why you think that would be a great idea.
Well, I know from experience of working with you that blocking off time for things like that is one of the keys to success with time management. And that's still where I'm not doing enough. I'm not like disciplined enough about that.
Well, and so I think that your actual productivity bottleneck isn't so much reviewing the calendar, reviewing the to-do list. It's matching where are you going to get the to-dos done?
Yeah.
Because looking at the to-do list is great, but that doesn't magically make a time appear on the calendar.
Right.
To get that done. So if we take your story backwards from the RFP, and we know RFP is due, did you say today?
Tomorrow.
RFP is due tomorrow. It takes about this many hours to pull the stuff together. I probably want to make sure that I have time blocked here. Then you can follow the calendar.
Right.
You just, it's telling you it's telling you now is time to work on this. Now is time to work on this. And so I feel like that is actually the bottleneck, combining the to-do list with the calendar so that you have time to do the things that are important.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. And one thing, it reminds me of something that I learned from you is you had me put all the and I don't want to give away your secrets here,
It's
but you had
okay.
me
Go
put
right
like all
ahead.
my big projects. If I estimated a project would take 10 hours, you'd say, okay, like where put the on your calendar. And then sometimes I'd have it on my calendar and it would get bumped. And then I learned from you that I have to take that time and put it elsewhere on my calendar, because what I was doing was just ignoring it and just being like,
Right.
oh, I was going to work on um, like Q4 planning or something. And I instead have to do the RFP because that's more critical right now. But what I wasn't doing before I met you and worked with you is moving that Q4 planning someplace else so it does get done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
Yes.
calms
And
me down to get everything on the, get everything on the calendar and on the list. And you're right, marrying them together. Yes.
if you can put them together, you make so many decisions each day. And so if every time you finish a task, you have to sit there and decide, what do I do next? It's exhausting and it
Yeah.
leads to decision fatigue. If you can lay out the bulk of your day, then you have to make the decisions you're making then are, am I following my plan? Or did something else come up that is more urgent?
Right.
Versus what do I do now? What do I do now? What do I do now?
Right.
All right. So the process, as you know, the process we just went through was the AWE process, because what we did was awareness. You were thinking, okay, the challenge is I'm not looking at the to-dos or the calendar enough. Yet when we dug a little bit deeper, we can find, okay, wait a minute. The challenge is that we're not taking the to-dos and locking them into the calendar, blocking out some time. When the awareness piece isn't completely clear, then that W piece, which stands for work, means you're solving the wrong problem. Because we could have jumped right in and I've been like, oh, okay, Ellen, take 15 minutes every morning and review your thing or set your, like we could come up with a million strategies
Right.
on how to do and solve it. But if you're solving the wrong problem, it hardly matters.
Correct.
Right. And so you now have the awareness piece and you are more than fully capable to figure out the right W piece. How do we make sure those pop into the calendar? And then the E is evaluation, making sure you take a time, take 10 minutes a couple of weeks down the road to be like, okay, is this working or is this not working? Am I following it? Am I not following it? And then tweaking and adjusting and going from there. So yay, thank you for being authentic and sharing. I'm super excited about that. And you now have exactly this piece you need to solve. And you totally can. All right. So
You're
thank you
so
for sharing
awesome,
your
Lisa. Thank you.
You are so awesome. Thank you. All right. Now that you have identified the bottleneck challenge, you're going to solve it like this and create all this extra time. How do you want to spend it? Like if you created that 25th hour each day, how would you want to spend it?
So many things I would like to do. Well, in the summer, as you mentioned, I have, I don't know if I'd call it a farm, but we have a
In my
couple
head, you have a
acres.
farm.
Yeah. I really got into gardening and I love just playing in the garden. It's so much fun for me. So at this exact moment, my garden's a little bit neglected. If I had that extra time, I would like to go out there and just clean it up, get it ready for the fall. I should be clear, I'm an amateur, I'm a beginner gardener, but it's really fun and it's therapeutic. There's something about digging in the dirt that's just like you're not on your computer and it's really fun. So I would do that or go for a walk with the dog or, maybe hang out with the husband. There's so many things I would love to do. Read a book. Gosh, I love also to cook. So I might make something fabulous.
I wish we lived closer.
Oh, yes. Well, we will have to connect one of these days and
I know one
share
of
a
these days.
fabulous meal.
Yes. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So we promised to share how people can get the first chapter of your book. Will you do that for us now? How can they get it?
Yeah. The easiest way is for people to go to the website readysetgrit.com. And that's my personal website. You'll see some more information about me. And there's a tab there that will take you to information about the book. On that tab, you'll find a link to get the first chapter for free. So that is probably the easiest way, and just a couple of clicks.
And going to your website, would that be the easiest way also for people just to contact you if they have questions or anything like that?
Yeah, they can contact me through the website. That you can also email Elin at elinbarton.com. The tricky thing about that is I spell my name not as you would expect, but my first name is Elin. So Elin at elinbarton.com. But if you spell it wrong, I'm sure it's going to bounce back.
Yes.
Unless there's another elinbarton.com, I should probably check that with the other spelling.
Yeah, and we'll put all the contact information, everything else in the show notes.
Great.
I so appreciate you being a guest today. I cannot wait to read your book. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. This was really fun, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening in with today's podcast with Elin. If you are wondering what your productivity bottleneck is, take the productivity bottleneck quiz and you will be able to find out what is actually holding you back from accomplishing everything you want each day. Just go to impactivestrategies.com/free-gift.